everybody. This is Armida Abreu Martinez, and I will be your host for today. And today's training topic is all about should I stay or should I go, which is a topic that I'm really passionate about because it's something that I have struggled in the past before making that decision. And it's a decision that I've noticed a lot of people, my friends, my closest friends, and people that I know have had issues with, and we've had conversations about this. So I decided to create this topic, this training topic, to help people make an aligned decision for themselves. So before I continue on, let me let you guys, if you're tuning in for the first time, and this is the first time that you're catching me on a training, I am a life mindset, self-love, and relationship coach. And the reason I became a coach was because I, for many years, was stuck, felt, like I was disconnected from myself, disconnected from my environment, from the people around me. Therefore, I was living in lack and separation and fear, and I wasn't thriving. I was surviving, right? Like most of us. I think most of us go through life, we're on fight or flight mode. So we're always surviving instead of thriving and creating, which is why we came here to do. However, we experience trauma sometimes as a kid, and since we don't have the tools at that young age to perceive what happened to us from a different and a higher lens, we give it a meaning that holds us and keeps us stuck into adulthood if we don't even take care of it. So what I noticed is that I had developed a lot of I experienced different trauma like we all do, right? I'm not any different than any of you. I'm sure you all have experienced it. That led me to feel like I wasn't good enough. And I think after coaching a lot of people and going through what I was going through, and even during my own journey, it was one of the big themes. I wasn't good enough. I wasn't, worthy. And I perceived myself from such a limited lens that didn't allow me to see things from the bigger picture. So I really had to dig deep, heal, accept myself fully, accept the pieces of me that I perceived that weren't good enough, stop judging myself, stop criticizing myself, and really learn to love myself unconditionally, right? Because I think throughout life, we're so conditional about the love that we give to ourselves and to others. And that's when we judge love. That's when we judge the people around us. That's when we have expectations on other people because we can't meet those for us. So when we show up into our relationships with others, we're showing up from a place of lack and fear. And so we're we have expectations on them, right? And we expect people to do X, Y, and Z for us because we can't do that for ourselves. And one of the big lessons I learned is that when I started taking care of my needs and taking care of myself and filling up my own cup, that's when my relationships blossomed. So when I was in fear and lack and try to control everybody around me, I had zero control, and I felt really out of control, not only with myself because I wasn't getting the outcome that I wanted, but with everybody else. And not only that, I was putting pressure on the people around me because now they had to do things to try to keep me happy, right? Instead of me doing those things for myself. And when I dug deep, I did the work on myself, I realized that law of attraction is real. The energy that you put out is the energy you're going to get back. And if your energy is one of lack and fear, and you're judging yourself and judging others, that's the kind of energy that's going to come back to you. So I had to learn to really connect to myself, to trust myself, and to give myself all those things that I wanted other people to give to me, right? And when I did that, that's when life became magical, because that's when I was able to connect to my deep self, my authentic self, my true self, my intuition. I learned to trust myself fully. Therefore, I was trusting of the people around me, of my environment. And that led to happier relationships with the people involved because they energetically, and the funny thing is, I didn't have to do anything. They energetically felt my energy. And that was enough for them to level up to my energy and to feel that there was this unconditional love coming from me, right? And zero expectations. I know you guys have probably heard this, but we are 99.999% energy, scientifically proven. So we have an energy field around us, and that energy field it's what connects us to other people, and we attract circumstances and people into our lives that meet our energy frequency, right? And so when we're stuck in lack and fear and all of that, and all of those low level energies, that's the kind of people that we're attracting into our lives. And then we try to control them, right? Because they're not meeting our needs. So one of the biggest things you can do, and as a coach, one of the things I had to learn, because I could be here forever talking about my experience and what my clients go through. And today's topic is about love and relationship. But I just really want to say how self-love is just truly everything. You really have to learn to love yourself fully. And by self-love, I don't mean going out to get a facial, a pedicure. That's self-care, which adds to loving yourself. But it's not really fully loving yourself. It's really looking at those shadow sides of you, parts of you that you perceive as being flawed, and bringing light to them and incorporating them into yourself and accepting them. Because when you can accept yourself fully for who you are, that's when you really love yourself unconditionally. And when you can do that, you can see other people with those same lens, right? And it makes life so much more beautiful and enjoyable, and your relationships will blossom. Because when you're coming from a place of, okay, I know who I am, I know where I stand, it's like the beauty you see in you, it's the beauty that you're going to start to see in the people around you. And you're going to see the people who normally would have triggered you, you see them beyond that persona, and you see them for whom they really are at the core, which is love. We're beings of love. We're always craving love. This is why we crave relationships. This is why we always trying to look for love and connection, because it's who we are at the core. But when we don't take the time to heal our wounds, we look from it from a limited lens, and then we become conditional. And when we're conditional with the love that we're giving out, that's what we're going to get from other people, because people are only going to meet you at the level you're willing to meet yourself. So you really have to learn to dig deep and meet yourself at a deep level, so then you can connect to other people at that same level. And I just want to make it clear, because a lot of my clients, when I coach them through this, they're like, people think because you love somebody unconditionally, that means that they get to walk all over you and do whatever they want. And no, it's the complete opposite. Because when you love yourself unconditionally, you can see the other person, even through the lens of love, and realize that whatever they're doing that is not in alignment to you, it's not about you, and that you can still love them.
On a scale of 1 to 5, would you give yourself a 5 on achieving what you want in life? If your answer is anything less than a 5, right now, I have something awesome for you. Achieving your goals and living your life at a 5 isn't easy. Most people aren't prepared to focus, stay disciplined, and do the everyday work that is necessary to achieve amazing results. But since you're watching this, then I'm guessing that you're not one of those people. And this is an opportunity that will change your life. Give to Get is a global program that brings together world-class coaching and combines it with empowering masterminds and networking opportunities. We provide 5-star guidance for the price of a cup of coffee a day. To find out more, click on the link in the description of this coaching session.
But you can love them from a distance, right? So you get to set healthy boundaries. It's the complete opposite when you don't fully love yourself unconditionally. Then you become a people pleaser, because you have a need that needs to be met that you can't not meet for yourself. And you're going to try to control the people around you to do that for you. And that's when when it's hard for you to set boundaries, because now you're afraid that if you set a boundary, you're going to lose that connection. So it's the complete opposite. When you fully, truly love yourself unconditionally, you're able to set boundaries for yourself, and you're able to really love yourself, enjoy yourself, and trust yourself. And when you trust yourself, you trust the people around you. When you trust the people around you, you trust your environment, and life becomes magical. So that is a transition that I had to go through, and I had to learn the hard way. And I've had a lot of tears and a lot of really hard work to get to where I am, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. I'm very passionate about helping people move beyond fear-based living and into love and into oneness, because it's truly what we're all here and what we're all craving. Anything that you think you may want, whether it's a car, a house, a job, a career, money, all of that, you only want it because of the feeling you feel that you're going to get from it. It's because you feel that it's going to bring you joy. It's going to bring you happiness. And the funny thing is that really comes from within. Once you feel like that, those things start to magically align with you, because you're giving yourself that. You're not expecting it. So you're in a place of surrender. But anything outside of you that you think that you're trying to get, it's only because of the feeling you think you're going to get from it. So your job is to give yourself those feelings now, to know who you are, to align to that energy. So then you can call in and those things that you want and call it from a place of feeling great and feeling good and really enjoying being with yourself, right? Which is one of the things I think we're afraid to do, being alone. I know I had to learn meditation. For me was the toughest thing ever because I didn't want to be alone with myself. And that's where the magic happens. Learn to be alone with yourself, learn to really connect to yourself. And it will make all of your relationships that much better. So I know I just went on a tangent. I tend to do that a lot, so bear with me. I'm going to move into the training topic now, which is, should I stay or should I go? Before I move into this, I just want to say that if you, by any reason, any chance you're in an abusive relationship, physically or emotionally abusive relationship, you are to seek professional help or leave. I'm not condoning any kind of abuse. So if you are currently in an abusive relationship, please seek out professional help, and please, and if it's a safety concern, leave. Your safety comes first, right? I'm talking about, should I stay or should I go if there's issues within a relationship, which is going to happen. It's two people. No matter how much you are in your heart space, you do all this work, get into your heart space, you still have to learn to share your life with someone else. And it doesn't have to be, so I want to be clear, could be an intimate relationship, could be a friendship, could be any kind of relationship. But I know intimate relationships are the ones that always triggers us the most, because they tend to mirror back to us where we need to grow and where we need to heal. So please just be clear that if you're in an abusive relationship, you seek professional help or you leave if it's a safety concern. With that being said, the first thing I wanted to say is that you need to decide on a timeline, right? So this is a great thing. So once you've had the realization, the awareness that, wow, this relationship doesn't feel in alignment with me. There's something going on in this relationship. This person is doing X, Y, and Z, or maybe I'm doing something myself, but it's just, we're not seeing things eye to eye. There's something missing. There's something lacking. We're not connecting. That's great. You've become aware of something that needs to be fixed within the relationship, right? So at this moment, give yourself a time frame. Say, you know what? I'm going to give myself, I'm just going to say 3 to 6 months, right? To fix this issue, right? And if it's not fixed, then I'm going to walk away from the relationship or whatever you decide that feels right to you, right? Because another thing I want to mention is that you have all the power, right? Don't give your power away to other people. Sometimes when we're having relationship issues, we go to our friends, we go to our moms, we go to our parents, we go to our neighbors, we go to people that we trust to ask them for advice, which is great. But remember that you are the only one that knows what feels right and in alignment to you. And you want to make sure that the decision that you're making feels right to you, and you're making it because of you, not because of what anybody else is telling you, because they're not you, and you have your own guidance system to help you do that. So I always want to empower people to take their power back and to not give away their power to other people. Yes, you can ask for feedback and advice and guidance, but make sure that whatever you're getting from other people, you're tuning into it to make sure it feels in alignment to you, right? And so give yourself a timeline. A good safe timeline that I like to say is about 3 to 6 months, minimum 3 months, because once you've become aware of a problem, of an issue, and you want to work on it, give it a healthy time frame to see a transition. So 3 to 6 months to, again, don't give me the power, tune into yourself. It may be more, it may be a little bit less, although I would say 3 months, I think it's the bare minimum. It takes at least, it takes time to build the habit, right? And if you're both working on something, you want to give it a fair chance. But again, tune into yourself and see what feels right and go with that. So once you've established a timeline for yourself and you say, well, I'm going to give the relationship 6 months. I'm going to talk to my partner about this issue and we're going to see how we can resolve it, right? A good thing is when you're speaking up in a relationship, remember why is the reason that you're doing it, right? Remember that you're doing it to make things work, not to judge and blame one another. So when you do this, try to remove labels. Actually, remove labels from the relationship, right? Because when you are judging or criticizing a person or the relationship, you're coming from a negative mindset, negative energy. And so you're not seeing the relationship from a different perspective. Therefore, you're not going to be able to fix the issue. Right. So if you're going to step into this, make sure that you remove all labels. Don't, I know we tend to and I'm guilty of it. I'm saying it with a lot of love because I'm very guilty of it, of, saying this relationship, it's toxic. This person is unhealthy. He's a narcissist. She's a narcissist. And we tend to sometimes start labeling things in a negative manner. And that only keeps you, first of all, stuck in the problem, because if you're labeling something, you're not open to a solution, you're just stuck in the problem. So you want to make sure that you can stop putting labels on the relationship, on the person, so that you can step away and see it from a different lens, right? And remember that the reason you're communicating is to get along, right? It's not to be right, because this is another thing. We argue when we're in a relationship, and again, I'm guilty of this. So if you've done this, I'm not judging you. Don't judge yourself. It's just, we learn, right? Sometimes we want to prove a point that we're right, right? You're wrong, I'm right. And we tend to get into this vicious cycle. And then what happens is, great. Does it make a difference whether you're right or you're wrong? There's still an issue, right? So let's fix the issue. And the thing is, when you try to prove that somebody else is wrong, you're judging them. When you're trying to prove that you're right, you're trying to prove that somebody else is wrong. And if you're trying to prove that somebody else is wrong, first of all, you're judging them. And second of all, they're going to put up a wall. If you're already thinking that they're wrong, they're not even going to hear what you have to say. So step away from labels, step away from judging, step away from criticizing, and really tune into yourself, right? This is very, very, very important if you want to give the relationship and the person a fair chance. Then the next step is to step into your body. And this is probably one of the toughest part, right? Because we have been taught and trained to live in our heads, to live in our ego, to live in our heads, and to be reactive. And when we're in a relationship, actually with anything in life, when you're finding yourself feeling triggered, the best thing you can do, and emotional awareness comes from learning to respond, not to react. That's so huge. So I want you guys to tune into your body, tune into your heart space at that moment, right? Because you want to get yourself out of that ego mind, get out of your head, and where, you want to prove that you're right and the other person's wrong and the other person did this. Nope, we're going to see this person through the eyes of love, right? Because the reason you're in a relationship and the reason you're speaking up is because you love this person and you want to try to make things work, right? So let's remember that. That will make your life a lot easier. Like, what's the point why am I speaking up, right? It's because I care. So if you care, let's do it from a place of love, right? And this is what the part that could be the scariest, because when we're not taught to access our emotions, right? We're taught to emotions, we got to sweep them under the rug. We don't process emotion. We don't talk feelings. We don't talk, we don't talk about anything. And then we grow up and we have relationships that we don't know how to emotionally connect to those people in our lives because we don't know how to emotionally connect to ourselves, right? Going back to my story at the beginning. And so I think tuning into your body and just really, really calming the nervous system down, because you don't want to react, you want to respond. So one of the quickest way you can do this is pause. Just pause before you say anything. When you find yourself being triggered, just pause for a minute, take a couple of deep breaths. I like to say, if you feel fine doing this, hand over your heart. Energy goes where attention goes. Attention goes where energy goes. You guys got me, right? And so you put your hand over your heart and you just take a couple of deep breaths. And what that's going to do is that's going to bring you into your heart space, and it's going to ground you into the present moment, because this is where you want to be. You want to be grounded. You want to be present. You want to be in your functioning adult, right? You don't want to react like a little kid that's having a tantrum. And believe me, I've done that a lot. Not very proud of those moments, but hey, they're learning experiences. And I can see them now through the lens of love. They were the only tools that I had at the moment. And so you want to tune into your body, take a couple of deep breaths, and then express what you're feeling from this place, right? When somebody does anything to us that's triggering us, it's not what they're doing specifically, is what they're doing is making us feel a certain type of way, right? We're always so quick to say, you, it's you. They're doing whatever they're doing because of them, right? They're trying to be them. and they're doing something that they may not necessarily know that it's triggering us. So our job is to communicate that, but communicate that from a place, an elevated space, not from a place of lack and fear and of judgment. So at this point, you need to tune into your body. Once you've centered yourself, calm your nervous system down, you express what you're feeling. A good way to do this is to just take a couple of deep breaths. And then once you've done that, you can say, from your heart, like, listen, when you do X, Y, and Z, it makes me feel like you don't care. It makes me feel like, my time is not important. Let's just use something specific so I could bring it home. So let's say you're waiting for your husband or your girlfriend, somebody to show up for dinner at 6 p.m. It's 6:30 p.m. They haven't shown up. They haven't called you. And now they're walking in the door. You've been waiting for them for a half hour and you're triggered and you're upset and you want to just react, right? At this point, you calm yourself down and you say, you know what? When you show up late and you don't text me or call me to let me know that you're late, it makes me feel like my time is not important. It makes me feel like you don't value my time. It makes me feel like you don't care about me. It makes me feel sad. It makes me feel scared because maybe I think something could have happened while you were coming home. Like really just tune into those emotions. When you can express what you're feeling, the other person is going to hear it and connect to that because you're coming from a place of a different space of, no, it's not what you did, it's how I felt, right? So when this happened and when you did this is what happened. And then I told myself this story that I'm not good enough, that I'm not worthy. And the story that I told myself, is that I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy of your time. Maybe I'm not good enough for you. So you don't care if you show up late, whatever that is. Express that, whatever it is that is going on in the relationship, express that from that place, right? And that's going to help you express what you're feeling, and the other person's going to be able to hear it and respond to it or not. So remember that when you're doing this work, it's going to take effort, right? At the beginning, like anything, is going to take effort because you're breaking a habit of reacting to now responding. But if you stay consistent with it and you keep going at it, it's going to become easier, right? And always remember, like, why am I doing this, right? I'm doing this because I love this person and I want to try to make things work, right? And this is the place where you want to get to when you're communicating with the other person, because sometimes when they're doing something that's triggering us, we forget that they're another human being like us, and we're just like, we go from 0 to like 100 in like 2 seconds or less, and we just want to prove our point and be heard because we feel scared, we feel worried. So we want to make sure we're communicating. That's why it's good to calm down and come from a place of love. Now, when you feel grounded, you feel loved, and you do all this work, whatever issue it is that you're having in the relationship, you've given it 3 to 6 months, you stop judging the person, stop judging the relationship, you start communicating whatever the issue is from that place of love, then you give it the time, and you give the person the time to react, to respond, and to connect with you, and to meet you at that level where you want to be met, right? And after the time frame goes by, then you go back and you ask yourself, like you look at the relationship from like, okay, it's been 6 months. I stayed in my heart space. I communicated what I wanted. I gave it the time frame. I stopped judging the relationship. Then you can go back and say, okay, how are things going? Let's say you gave yourself 6 months. The 6 months go by and you're at this place right now that you're trying to see if you want to stay in the relationship or not. You want to take a look at it again, revisit it. This is a good time for you to do that, because now you have given the person an opportunity to change. You have given the opportunity for yourself to change. It's not only about changing the other person, but about you changing how you're responding and reacting, because that's the most important. It's about you, right? And how you respond and how you react, and then how you view the other person. Remember that law of attraction is real, and the energy that you put out is the energy that you're going to get back. So if you're judging the other person, that's what the energy you're going to get back from them, because that's what you're expecting of them. That's the energetic frequency that you're putting out. But when you start shifting that, and you start, looking at yourself and seeing the relationship and the person from a different lens, it's going to start to shift, but it's going to take some time. And that's what the time frame gives you. However, moving back into the training, once you've done all of this, and now it's 6 months has passed and you guys have this, and now you want to assess the situation and see if this relationship feels right for you. There's 2 questions that you can ask yourself at that moment. Again, make sure you have given the relationship a fair chance. The first question is, am I getting enough in this relationship to offset the pain of what's wrong and what's lacking, right? But now you're coming from a different lens, right? If you had done this at the beginning, you will automatically go to a no, 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 because you were in your ego, you were hurt, you were wounded. Now you're in a space where you can go back and ask these questions and really tune into yourself and see what it is that your intuition, your guidance system is telling you. And now when whatever decision you make, you're going to feel more secure and you're going to trust your decision more than if you're making it out of fear. Now you can really make that decision, and whether you decide to stay or you decide to go, you're going to feel trust yourself because you have given the relationship a fair chance and you have upgraded your energy from fear and lack into love and acceptance, right? And so you ask yourself this question, I'm going to repeat it again. Am I getting enough in this relationship to offset the pain of what's wrong and what's lacking? Maybe at that point, nothing is lacking. Maybe there's still some work to be done. Maybe you're not getting 100% what you want, but there is some progress. And maybe you can say, you know what, I need 6 more months to make this decision. You're the only one that has the answer and you have the power. So don't give your power away. Just really tune into yourself, but do it when you're in your heart space and when you feel like you're in an elevated space, not from a place of lack and fear, because then you're going to question yourself and you're going to make decisions at that stage that you're probably going to end up not trusting yourself when you're making them. And then the second question is, am I getting enough in this relationship to make grieving what I am not getting worth my while? So these are 2 good questions that you can ask yourself once you've come out of your childhood tantrum space and into your elevated adult functioning space. And you can ask these questions from a heart space, and then it will be easier for you to get that answer that you're looking for. You are the only one that has the answer for that. So trust yourself. As long as you're making as long as you're coming from your heart space and you're tuning into yourself, you're gonna know which way to go, and you're gonna trust that you're making the right decision. So this is our training for today. If anybody has any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, the training is all done for today.
That was fantastic.
Thank you.
A lot of good information, and I'm sure everybody else did as well.
Thank you.
That was fantastic, Armida. I'm actually going to go back and watch it again tonight myself personally. It was fantastic. I want to go back and watch it and take notes for myself, quite frankly.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it was wonderful. It was beautiful, and I love how you're just so honest and so upfront with your audience. You just connect beautifully. So thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Doesn't seem like there's any questions. All right.
I have one just quick question. You keep talking about 6 months. Why the 6 months as opposed to 3 months or 12 months or 9 months? Why the 6 months specifically?
Love it. Well, I say for me, and I feel like it's a good number, it's 3 to 6 months. I think 3 is the bare minimum, because once you acknowledge that there's an issue that needs to be worked on, you want to make sure you're given and once you've shifted your mindset, you decide to give the relationship a fair chance, you want to give it enough time for the energy to grow and for the shift to happen, right? So I think 3 months is the bare minimum. So I always say 3 to 6 months. However, I always tell my clients and people, like, tune into yourself. You have the answers. It may be less time, it may be more. And maybe you go back, let's say you decide to give it 6 months or 3 months, and the time frame comes, and then you're like, well, I'm not sure yet that we are making progress, but I'm not sure if this is the right time for me to make that decision. Keep working at it and say, you know what, I'll revisit this in 6 months. And you stay in that space where you're elevated and you're not judging and you're not criticizing, and you're still seeing the person for who they are, and you're communicating what your needs are from a place of authenticity and connection, right? And then you can 6 months later go back and revisit, and you might be ready then, and you may not. Honor what you're feeling. Like, you're the only one that has the answers, because it's you're the one in the relationship, and you have a guidance system that's they're trying to connect with you and communicate with you, but you're not going to do that if you're in fear and lack. And this is why it's good to ground yourself and get into that loving heart space, because that's when you're going to connect to the answers that you're searching for. And you're going to your authentic self. And that's when you're going to be able to hear it and make decisions for yourself that you're going to trust.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Love that answer.
Thank you.
Perfect. Everybody have a wonderful weekend. Thank you, Armida. Thank you, Emmylou, for joining on.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Morrow. It's been another great week at Boom Nation and Give to Get. We're growing. We're going into our 4th week, and we continue to get better. We continue to grow. We continue to push the envelope every week. So thank you, everybody. Love working with you as a team.
Same
Thank
here.
you.
Thank
Take
you
care,
so much.
everybody.
Have a
Bye-bye.
great weekend. Bye.